I'm going to do something different now, okay? Because the webcam recording is bollocks.
Okay.
So we're going to hit this. 3, 2, 1. So that'll give me a good waveform.
That's clever. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Top250, episode 5. 4, 6. 6.
Oh,
Film
0.
2, 4, 6.
Yeah.
We're doing Heat today. The Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. It's Val Kilmer in it and stuff. I don't know. It's like a heist film. And that's as much as I know. 1995. Micheal Mann directing this one. We haven't seen it yet. This is just before we've seen it. It's our little intro thing. And I guess what I can do now is ask you, have you seen this film before?
I have seen this one before, yeah.
And what do you know? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it deserve to be on this list?
I saw it quite a while ago now, like a good 8 years ago probably, when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
But I have really positive memories of it. I remember really enjoying it. I remember thinking it was really cool. Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest, I can't remember a huge else about it. Apart from, obviously, it's Al Pacino and Robert De Niro being very, like, intense crime performance.
Well, you know bit of intense De Niro. So, yeah, well, I've never seen it. I've heard a lot about it. Big fan of De Niro and I guess Pacino, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Scarface, though. Like, anyone who's kind of into these sort of films loves Scarface.
Yeah, I've never been sure about Scarface either, actually. That's
I've seen it, to be fair, I've seen it the once, and
Same, exactly.
I wasn't quite into it. Maybe we'll need to see it again. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe it's on the list. I think it probably is. Yeah. So we'll give that a watch when we get to it. But yeah, let's shut up, man. Next week.
Next week. Maybe.
So tune into that one, and yeah, we'll get watching the film now. And if you want to watch along, start, or you've probably already seen it, because otherwise you wouldn't have started this video. But start remembering the film for right now when we will have just seen it. Goodbye. Right, here we go.
Jumping right in. 3,
2, 1. Hello. Welcome back. So we've just finished watching Heat, 1995, Micheal Mann film, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, others. Danny Trejo is in it. What a ledge. Yeah, so Joe, tell me, what did you think of that?
Really, really good. Brilliant. I think
What?
it's a great film. Like I said at the start, that I've seen it before, but that was ages ago. And I thought, when I started watching it, like, oh yeah, it'll come flooding back. But to be honest, I didn't remember it that well at all. But so it felt really fresh. It was actually really fun to watch it all over again. I was just like, oh man, I've actually forgotten what happens at the end. I remember a few key scenes. Like I remember the coffee shop scene, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was like totally like, I actually don't know what's coming up because I just can't remember it as well as I thought I could.
Yeah,
like, but yeah, just a great film. Just a great sort of classic sort of crime caper.
Absolutely,
almost.
Definitely. So this was my first time watching it, and I definitely put it among the classic crime films. It's definitely up there. And it was a strange one because it kept reminding me of stuff, and not in a it's taken this from whatever, but in terms of other stuff's taken it
from it.
And a lot. I got a lot of kind of Departed stuff, although not directly, obviously, because that's such a different plot, I suppose. But again, it's this kind of police and criminal, and they're kind of
the interconnection.
Yeah, the interconnection and the way they kind of cross paths. And there was one scene and kind of sequence in particular that was like one of my favourites in this, where they're robbing somewhere when the police are in the trucks. What is that place that they're at? Is it some sort of server place just out in the middle of the where Val Kilmer's drilling through the
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And it's not a huge plot point really, but it's just Val Kilmer and De Niro, who are the main criminals, are doing some crime, and the police are outside, and De Niro goes and like hides in a shadow, and they've got this great heat camera of his face. and it kind of does a good thing to... Oh, come on. That was not intentional. But it kind of dehumanises him a bit, but in an interesting way. And so he's just standing in the shadows, and then someone in the van makes a noise, and there's this amazing tension where Al Pacino's looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And then we see the screen version of De Niro looking
back. Like,
and it's just glaring, and they're just looking at each other, and it's brilliant. And that reminds me a lot of in The Departed when the phones ring.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah.
And then they just pick up and don't even say anything. They don't even say anything, hang up, and then I think he rings again, and then they do say something. I can't remember. It's been a while.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But yeah, that kind of reminded me of that, and other similar stuff. And one thing that really struck me is how similar to Grand Theft Auto it is.
I totally see what you mean.
I was saying it all the way through, and I think I'd kind of known anyway that the GTA games were kind of... It's inspired by this sort of stuff, but there was...
Absolutely.
a huge sequence that is just directly... It could just be part of the game where they do this bank robbery and it goes wrong. And
particularly like the story missions in GTA, which
and
is
they're
so
just doing this
like
full-on pitched battle in the middle of the street. And I don't know, that got a bit much almost, but it wasn't... I don't know, it wasn't too egregious. It was just
I think it ends at just the right point. It could have gone
It doesn't outstay its welcome, but it does go a bit crazy with just guns. And the thing was, like, there wasn't too many, like, consequences. It was kind of the old action movie BB gun law where you can just shoot forever and you never see anyone die. Which, this is an R film, so, anything goes. But a lot of the time you didn't see kind of cops going down. I don't know whether this was kind of more of a 90s action movie thing where they just go just crazy and then you just assume. But I think more in modern films you go bang, 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 and then you see someone die. Bang, 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 you see someone die. But there were a few of that when it was relevant. So maybe it would have been just annoying if it was every single time. So
I
don't know, maybe it was a good choice. We've kind of jumped into the middle there. I suppose we could do our usual kind of roundup of it, but I don't know.
I think we'll keep it brief. All you really need to know is Robert De Niro is the head of this kind of crime gang.
Yeah.
And then Al Pacino's the head of the cops chasing them.
Well, I
it's
think...
basically just the slow progression of how they eventually sort of get to know each other and then catch each other. Well, not catch each other, but, like... have a final showdown. Really.
It's a very interesting.
It's a bit more to it than that, obviously.
Thing because it's quite a long film straight off, and I knew going in.
50 minutes.
I knew going in it would be a long film, but I wasn't quite ready for how much they'd do with it, like how much mileage they'd get out of it. And by that I mean they have so many story threads going on.
Yeah,
we have kind of everyone in the gang has their own story thread almost. Val Kilmer's got his wife and son. Robert De Niro's got his just being a loner. Al Pacino's got his kind of third wife and that thing going wrong. And his stepdaughter, Natalie Portman's in it. Then that whole thing goes a bit crazy. And then we've got this Nazi guy who's also part of the gang. And it's kind of... towards the middle of the film, it's just you're so spread out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but it does all converge. It does, which is really good.
It does all tie up. And it's kind of good in that way.
It doesn't feel too... overweight. It doesn't feel like...
No.
I mean, arguably there are bits you could cut, but it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours for the sake of being 3 hours.
Yeah,
it feels like they have an epic, I think it's a word used, an epic story to tell that has all these threads. I think it works really well. I think
one way that it works quite well is, for instance, Natalie Portman's character. It's just kind of there, and then she drifts off, and then they keep coming back to her. And what I needed to learn as an audience member was De Niro and Pacino are our main characters.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really have to care about anything else because they'll just come back to them. And that was certainly the case. Like, Natalie Portman's character, Pacino, would just occasionally check up on, and she was just, this story-driving force, as well as all the other characters. So it was these two kind of threads that kind of went through all these side characters. Almost, I don't really want to call them side characters. And even like Val Kilmer, I thought he would be a much larger role, although it's still a large role.
One of the larger ones, but you're right. He doesn't actually do...
He was more of kind of just another thread of De Niro's story.
Absolutely.
But one thing that really stood out for me in this film was the acting was just amazing. Yeah. I mean, mainly from Pacino and De Niro, like, and I guess a few others, but you know, there was also a little bit of dodgy acting. But again, Pacino and De Niro were just so perfect in this film, and like beforehand, I was already a De Niro fan. He's pretty great. I mean, we were discussing recently, he's done some absolute shit. I think coming out soon. Dirty Grandpa with Zac Efron.
Maybe it'll be brilliant. And
maybe.
In 3 months' time, we'll be reviewing this video going, we were so wrong. Dirty Grandpa.
How wrong we were.
It's the highlight of Robert De Niro's performances. But
that is comedy genius. But, and then, I think he did a film called The Family, which he played generic Italian mafia guy who has to hide out somewhere.
Wasn't it like The Intern was last year, where he's like...
Don't they go to Google or something? Is that him?
No. That's a different film. That is one where it's him with Anne Hathaway, and it's like, I'm 7 years old, but I can still learn. He like becomes the intern at this company.
Do you mean 7 or 70? You said 7.
Oh, I mean 70. He's not 7.
I'm 7.
He's a versatile actor, but he's not that versatile. God.
But, so he's done a bit of schlock recently, and Pacino's done some schlock as well. He was in Jack and Jill, that Adam Sandler film.
God, I didn't know
even if it was just a bit. It was kind of a cameo, and he was playing himself, but still. I mean, he's in it.
So, that's disappointing.
But, De Niro was already pretty hot on, and Pacino, I honestly wasn't that hot on. I mean, he's got, like, The Godfather, obviously, which gives him points. But Scarface, I even kind of mentioned at the start, I'm not too hot on Scarface. Because I just didn't like him as a character. I think we'll probably end up watching that film again. It's probably in the list.
I might change our minds.
Yeah, I'll come back to that.
When I first saw Scarface, which also was years ago, I had a similar thing of like, I get that it's a really cool film, and I get that he's really good in it.
Yeah,
but I didn't like. Whereas with this, there were times I was leaning in, like, oh man, just the dialogue and the acting is so fucking tight.
So Pacino got a huge amount of points for me on this one. Like I just suddenly got right. Yeah, really interesting character, because usually with the bad guys in films, they are kind of a bit sporadic and eccentric and willing to just fly off the handle at any moment. And the good guy is kind of cool, calm, and collected, and just hunts him down. Whereas this is kind of the opposite. Pacino is the policeman hunting him down, and he's working with criminals and stuff to try and get information. And I guess as like an intimidation tactic, he does these like flying off the handle nuts moments, and he goes a bit kind of crazy, and it's great, and it really kind of gets you, and it's a great bit to his character. Funny, And then De Niro plays the very cool, calm, and collected bad guy.
So solid,
really cool. And he's always like a step ahead, and it's very well executed. It's a very good cat and mouse thing, and it all kind of culminates quite well. Although there was, speaking of culmination, there were a lot of what I felt were quite what do you call them? Climax moments, like after the bank heist and stuff. There was it felt like a huge thing. It's like everything's exploded, and the kind of dust is settling. And that was only like halfway through the film. We then had this whole revenge plot where De Niro just goes down and cleans house, and it's great. But and then sure enough, the actual end was very good and very fitting, because I was wondering how are they going to end all this. They pull it off? Yeah. But they just tie up all the loose ends by just shooting them all.
Pretty much
just systematically, just bang, bang, bang.
But Val Kilmer survives, doesn't he? I just realised, like,
he almost gets caught, but his
which seems like way too easy how he got away. It's like he's got a fake driving license. They're like, okay, it's not the guy.
It's some Mr. Wallace,
and he just drives off. Okay, like, that was easy. God, why don't all the characters do that? Well, you look like Al Pacino, but according to this driving license, it's not you. So
I think the thing is, De Niro did have a fake passport and everything, and he was going to go on this plane, but then he had to kill the Nazi guy, which is fair enough.
I guess the whole point is it's his decision to do that. His sort of pride almost.
It's
interesting. There's obviously loads of themes like that.
Natalie Portman's character ends up like almost killing herself, and it's
that is a bit out of nowhere, to be fair. I guess maybe it's meant to be, but I don't feel like there was a lot of build up to that. It was just suddenly like, who's in the bath?
Do you know why she was
dead? Deceptive.
Do you know why she was killing herself? because she'd been so neglected throughout the film.
Yeah, true.
She'd had 5 minutes
Didn't
of
have
screen
enough
time.
lines.
Yeah. Well,
That actually
like,
wasn't scripted. She actually tried to kill herself on set because she had such a rubbish part. And they just thought, like, fuck it, we'll film this.
Yeah, okay, she's doing
Very
it.
method
Oh yeah,
acting.
Al, could you...
just save it.
No, nothing too hard. But, yeah, I really enjoy that. There's amazing shots as well. And like one of the final shots in the film is very good as well.
Cinematography,
Al
amazing.
Pacino holding De Niro's dying hand. I was kind of hoping that this would be one of the films where the bad guy wins, because I don't know, I always have this thing
see it, yeah.
where I just kind of always want the bad guy to win.
Yeah.
I guess I think it comes from Breaking Bad, where it was you're always with this bad guy, and I guess he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
But I always wanted him to succeed, and I always wanted him to win. And I guess so did everyone else watching the show.
Yeah.
And that was why it was such a great show. And because you saw how much shit he went through, and it's like, God, can he not just succeed? And I felt that for De Niro's character in this, and I feel it in a lot of films. I kind of just want the bad guy. When it's this sort of film where we sympathise with the bad guy so much. And it was interesting that we had good guy and bad guy in this. There wasn't much difference there.
I think that's one of the things I really love about it.
And I think that was...
That, like, I always think in general, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, to me, look quite similar. I often get them confused. But I think the film plays off that, and it's just like the little shots of their lives side to side at the start. It's just like, you know what, they're not that different.
They could be swapped.
Even that bit where he's like pulling up in the car, there's like a shot of him in his car and a shot of the other guy in his car. And they just look really similar. Like,
But they
wear like similar suits and stuff. I like that though. It's like, and then they have the coffee shop scene.
Yes, I was going to say, and this is where it all culminates.
Be the same guy if they did taken different paths in life, like, and they both feel like, I'm just doing what I'm meant to do. I could never do anything else. This is all I'm good at.
It's a good scene. I
love that scene. It's really good.
Before I watched the film, I knew about that scene. I knew it was coming, and I knew vaguely what it was about. But actually seeing it in person was very good, and it's kind of chilling in some ways. It's very well done. How just kind of cool and calm both of them are in that scene, and they just kind of get each other, and they're just having a chance to kind of just sit, just chat. It seems very bizarre, but it kind of brings it all down to like look, I could have easily been you, and you could have easily been me. We're both kind of just survivors in this tough time. But it's not as black and white as you'd expect. And then of course there's loads of other crap around it. I mean, like all the other characters. Like this was the thing. Kind of after that scene, I kind of got it. It is just the De Niro and Pacino
it's an
show.
Absolute character film. Absolutely about that.
Whereas like a lot of the other stuff, the Val Kilmer stuff, it almost detracts from it. But I think they do it in a fairly good way. That it's not too ridiculous.
It's like at least one of them is in pretty much every scene of the film. Yeah. Like even when they're not, they're on a phone to someone that is in that scene. Like they're constantly present. But yeah, what I was just thinking, just as you're talking about that, there is it's almost interesting how they're both so driven to like do what they were born to do, or whatever. But I guess the sort of take home at the end is like Robert De Niro runs away from his like new girlfriend to save himself from, kind of spares her. I guess he spares her life. I guess that's part of it. But right before that, before Al Pacino catches him, Al Pacino like basically says to his wife, "It's never going to work. So I'm always going to be this guy." Yeah. And it's like the only way they can be that person is they just destroy everything else in their lives around them. They destroy all their relationships. So it's quite interesting. Like, I guess one of them sort of wins at the end, but they both have to like destroy everything else in the process.
That's a really good way of putting it, because that was a lot of what the film was about. A lot of the other stuff in the film, when they weren't chasing each other, they would like their lives were just falling apart around them.
Exactly.
And their kind of their lives became this cat and mouse thing, and it was very good. So I definitely recommend it. Have you got anything? Have you got anything other you can think of?
Just a couple of things that have just been bounced from my head.
Sure.
While you're in the film. First of all, one of the really funny I wasn't expecting to see, but one thing it reminds me of, especially that like initial heist scene where they have the masks on and they're like heisting the van. It really reminds me of Dark Knight.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of definitely when Christopher Nolan was directing Dark Knight, I suddenly saw it like he definitely watched Heat like the night before. Because even the stuff with Batman and the Joker like facing off, and it's all about were the same people. There's a whole theme of that in that film too. I definitely feel like he's basically made the superhero Heat.
Yeah,
is one way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a good way. Yeah,
and the other thing, like, which I
Heat.
just reminded of when you're talking about it, you mentioned Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is really cool is actually in Breaking Bad, I remember this, they mentioned the film Heat at one point. It's like a real throwaway bit where, like, it's just something like Hank's like, oh, I got a film out, I got Heat out, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it obviously foreshadows in that series how that goes to a similar place where you have two characters who know they're against each other, but can't do anything about it yet.
Yeah.
And like, so I thought that's really cool. From something else I love about Breaking Bad, we could do a whole other podcast about Breaking Bad.
Yeah, let's do Breaking Bad. Every episode.
Every episode.
So have you seen this episode before? Yes, I have. It was
obviously.
great. But
it just made me realise there's obviously a lot of things that have been inspired by this film, as you already kind of touched on at the start. But you really see its
GTA
influence
all over.
And I think it's a film that, I don't know, I feel like you don't hear about it as much as you hear about others.
No,
but you should do, because I think it's up there with other classic crime films, to be honest.
I think because it's so, strangely, I'm going to say because it's of the era, but not of an era. And by that I mean, like, Goodfellas is like so that era, whereas this is kind of it's just 90s. It's
Do you think in 20 years' time, when the 90s are like more vintage, immortalised, then it'll be more of like, oh, it's a classic 90s crime film. I mean, like,
to be fair,
you'll talk about classic 70s crime films like Godfather, then you'll say classic 90s films like Heat. Maybe that's what will happen, you know.
And
classic
Die Hard,
noughties films like Departed, you know. Maybe that'll be the progression.
But it was quite funny we were joking about the phones and stuff.
Yeah, everything's so retro, which is
well, not retro, not necessarily, but I guess so. I think it's pretty. But like,
I guess at the time,
those
it's high
massive
tech.
phones that had like 1 billion buttons on them for like speed dial or whatever.
And luckily, like, everyone has a car phone because no one's got a mobile.
Yeah,
car so everyone's got car phones.
Yeah, a pager. Let me just get my other phone out. And there was that was something he made such a big deal about, the telly, the TV.
Oh yeah.
So, well, I'm taking my telly.
It's like a shit little box.
Shit little CRT, like 15-inch thing.
That's brilliant.
But you know, we're not slagging the film off for being made in 1995.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
That was just a funny little observation. But it's kind of the time. It doesn't have as much style necessarily. I mean, it does have style, definitely. But in a way, it is kind of just the aesthetics of it, if I can even use that word. I know what you're saying. Are just fairly generic in a way. Like, there's the eye-catching things about it are the camera work and the cinematography, as opposed to the crazy shit you're seeing, because the crazy shit you're seeing is old school phones and a guy throwing a telly out of a car at a bus stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, and even like we talked about, like, the settings, whereas something like Breaking Bad, the settings really are sort of like almost part of the show. Like, you think about Breaking Bad, you think about the deserts. There are some really cool settings in this, but not quite in the same sort of characterized way. They're mostly just like, you know, parking lots or
the end shootout on the airfield.
Yeah, it's pretty
very cool. That was
actually that's a good point. But for the most part, it's just sort of like standard rooms, standard hotels, standard sort of 90s looking flats with their big windows and sea outside, which look great. You need to move in there.
But so do you recommend this film, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. I think anyone that hasn't seen it before, especially people,
definitely give it a go.
People that might not be initially drawn to a lot of films on this list as thinking they're a bit too art house for me, they're a bit too like not the kind of thing I'd watch. This isn't that kind of film at all. This is a very accessible,
to be fair
film. Anyone could get into this. You don't have to be like a total cinema nerd to like it. I think it's a very like crowd pleasing film.
I was about to say all the films we've done so far have been, and then I remembered Ratatouille. So almost all the films we have done are a bit niche in that way, but no, this is one of the first kind of more mainstream ones.
Well, next week though.
Well, easy now.
The king of the mainstream. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
But there's would you put this on a top 250 list?
I would.
And whereabouts would you put it? A rough estimate number.
That's hard.
Under 100?
Well, we've still got a lot more to watch, I'd put it in my top 100, I think.
Top 100, yeah. I'd probably agree.
You know, if you challenge me, I could probably think of 100 films I like more than this. But
do you challenge me?
It's up there. It's up there for sure. I love it.
I do. It's definitely on the top 250. It's probably in my top 100. I don't know. Although, again, there were bits, that could have been more perfecter. But I definitely recommend it. It definitely belongs here. And now this is where we talk about next week.
All right, I didn't realise you had such a clear
Sorry,
plan ahead.
You've got to
go. It never seems like a clear plan the rest of the time.
The format that we have.
There's a format?
Fuck, I don't know. So what are we watching next week, Joe?
Next week we're watching The Matrix from 1999. Film number 245. Maybe you've heard of it. What's it about?
Oh, what a film. Jesus.
I'm looking forward to that immensely.
Yeah, we will...
I've actually seen it for a long time, so we get to see it.
Been about 2 years for me. But we'll talk about that next time. Perhaps next week. We shall see.
Whenever we get around to it.
Thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you
soon.
Next time. I cut that before. Oh, that's the matter.